Welcome to Besties and Bubbles.
Welcome.
It's Bestie and Bubble time.
Podcast day.
Thank you for joining us.
So yummy.
I would love to know if anybody else is sipping when they listen to this. They're probably not.
Oh,
They're
but
probably
they
getting
should.
ready in the
They
morning
should.
or
Well,
driving in their car.
Or maybe it's getting ready for the evening.
Ooh, getting ready for the evening with a cocktail. Do you do that before you go out?
It depends. It depends.
I like to pour myself a little something.
Yeah. You know what?
Just one.
Yeah. Actually,
what?
my husband will come up. Like when we're going out together.
Yes.
And I have showered and
Yeah.
I'm getting out of the shower and he'll come up because it obviously doesn't take him as long to get ready as myself.
Right. He has much shorter hair.
Correct. So he'll bring a glass of wine or bubbles for me and then he'll have something. Which is
couples goals.
I mean,
it's so sweet. I love it.
Okay. It is sweet.
Well, I think that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I want a man in my life that brings me a glass of Prosecco before we go out.
Okay.
I'm just going to manifest that right now.
All right. There we
go.
It? I got it. I got it.
Make sure I put that on my list. I want that.
It'll be on the list. Check.
So
yeah, I mean, as much as we would love to talk about men bringing us endless glasses of champagne and Prosecco while we get ready, today we wanted to talk about something a little different that is near and dear to our hearts and really what we've experienced. So kind of wanted to share it with you. We are extremely blessed for the children that we have in our lives. You have 4 amazing children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and I have 3 amazing sons. My 3 sons. That was a show from a really long time ago. Now I'm dating myself. But anyway, and as much as we, when you become parents and you have these visions and so forth as to how you're going to raise your kids or how your kids are going to turn out, I'm sure we all have experienced that it doesn't necessarily go to plan.
Right. If you're a young parent, no, it doesn't always go to plan.
No, it doesn't. And we all have these visions.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you think,
we thought we were making all the right decisions when they were young.
Of course, and they're going to do this and that, and they're going to become this and that. And you know what? The reality is that's really not how it happens.
I think the same thing with me is with you. I have 4 different children, and they are completely all different humans.
Yes, and I've
your
always
kids
wondered it. And I'm sure as a parent, you have let's just say you have your children, same parents, same mom, same dad.
Yeah.
You feel like you're raising them the same way, and they all turn out different.
Do you know an expert will say it's because they were raised by different parents? Think about it. Our first ones were raised by newbies,
rookies.
The second ones were raised by different parents that were battling with 2, right? And then the third, and me, the fourth. Like they're different. They'll say experts because they were raised by different parents.
I have not
those
heard
parents
that.
were in different seasons of their life and different parenting because how much it changes from the first one to the last one.
Wow, mind blown. No, but that makes sense. And I do recall, my oldest and my youngest are 8 years apart. So, and that's a distance, right? And I have said, like, we're totally different parents.
Yeah.
Raising our youngest than how we raised our oldest.
My oldest and youngest are 10 years apart, and I have 4.
What
we want to talk about today is we have great kids, and we want to make sure our children know that, and you know that, but we have raised difficult children along the way. Yeah. We've had difficulties where they've challenged us, and there is a chance that you're going through it, that you have gone through it, or you have yet to go through it. So we thought we would be vulnerable and talk about kind of our experiences and what we learned doing that. We didn't it wasn't all perfect all the time.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
And it's interesting because I have a different situation. Your situation raising your children is different than my situation.
Right.
But I also feel that a lot of our friends are in either one of our situations, right?
Yes.
And hopefully can identify.
Right.
So
You and Matt have always stayed together. My situation was,
you
divorced
have
and this and that.
two and two.
Exactly. But I
Yeah.
was always on the same page
Yes.
with the father, right? And it just still wasn't working. But, at the time, I thought probably the divorce had something to do with it, although the other kid
Okay.
wasn't acting that way,
Yeah, but that's
So
fair and a good point to bring up,
yes,
right? Because you don't know
we
when.
still don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
We literally still don't know. We
right?
don't know why kids are become more challenging. We
Yeah.
just know that most families have that one kid that is just like giving you the gray hair or this or that, and it
Mm-hmm.
could just be someone that's maybe they're lazy or just not going to school or, doesn't like school and stuff like that. We've had more extreme situations.
I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. I'll share a funny little thing. My mother had said to me, "I hope you have 5 girls exactly like you."
Ooh, sassy mom. And she's watching, and
I
that
know
was a
she
nice
is.
one.
Yeah.
And she didn't get her wish.
No, but
All boys.
But after I had one of my children, she's like, "You're good."
Is that true?
Yeah, it's very
Oh
true.
my gosh, your mom is awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, and you know what? Sometimes children just need a little more nurturing and loving and some tough love too. I mean,
I think that's what, if I could share a little bit about my situation without like being too detailed
of
about it, but
course.
I had a child that um, was was different from the start. I will say that.
Okay.
Didn't I had my firstborn that was like so firstborn
Rule
and
follower.
rule
Like the
follower
typical
and
firstborn, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
in school and grades and all that stuff. And I remember one time my daughter was so worried because at the time she could look online to see her grades and she thought her grade was going to be not what she had hoped. And she was standing at the car talking to her dad and me and my other son, and, and she was crying. She was so upset. She
Oh,
was like, "I can't believe I thought it was gonna be." She goes,
right.
"I can't believe I'm getting a B." Blah, blah. And my son's like, "What? Wait, what? A B? I thought you said a D. A D or a B?" And she goes, "No, I'm getting a B and not an A. I thought it was going to be an A." And he goes, "What's wrong with a B?" Like,
Yeah.
we were all looking at him like, yeah, we would be dying for him to
Right.
get a B. And here she's bawling because she was getting a B. Turns out she was right. They did something wrong and she actually was supposed to get an A. So she was upset for the right reason. But um, my kids were completely different.
But
1 and 2 were
right.
completely
But same parents,
different.
same mom, same dad.
Same dad, same mom. I mean, it was nutso how
Yeah.
different they were, a lot of different ways. And although that child really gave me a run for my money with attitude, talking back, um, a couple trips to, the police station.
Okay.
There was perhaps an ankle monitor involved and maybe some alternative schooling.
Okay.
But
Okay. And
what we had to do in those situations is still hold
mm-hmm.
the line. We still had to be the parents. We couldn't be the friend. We couldn't believe
no friends,
we
no
couldn't
friendship.
we couldn't believe the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, I hope maybe it's a reason and maybe it's not. Maybe I'm thinking it's his dad and me, and I don't. Maybe it's not. But for whatever reason, maturity, and he really got his act together and didn't want that life. And he is so successful and such a good daddy and such a good husband and such a good provider. He started his own business and such a hard worker. And I'm telling you, Kimmy, and I think you're going to say the same thing, but if I needed something, he'd probably be the first person to show up.
Yeah.
He loves his mother, respects me, and would just really cares about taking care of me. Now, that is not what happened in his late teens
And
and
growing up in
probably
his probably formative years, right?
not
Like,
not
you have
not at
I mean,
all.
did you I'm just going to ask questions,
Yeah.
right? Like, how I guess you recognize this, right? And you try to manage it. Did it have any type of impact on the other kids that you were raising?
I'm positive it did. I've talked to, you know, Nicole was older. My oldest was older, and she
Mm-hmm.
was probably worried,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Um, my younger kids were probably scared and uncomfortable at some points of
Sure.
that
Sure.
because being younger. And I have had conversations, and everyone is great now. But during that time, he got a ton of attention because the squeaky
Squeaky
wheel
wheel.
gets the,
It
gets the
it
grease.
it does.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes.
And I wouldn't
Positive or
say,
negative. I mean,
yeah, and I wouldn't
you
say it
know.
was that other kids were neglected. I mean, I hope that they don't go to therapy and say that. I really don't think that that's an accurate assessment, but I do think our family had to be on occasion on edge
Yeah.
because of how I had a really angry child.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. And that
Just didn't want to follow
it's
rules.
tough.
Now, I'm going to say the pendulum swung,
Yeah.
and he is amazing.
Yes, and he is. When do you think that you kind of saw that shift?
He was asked to leave the house.
Oh, okay.
I actually took a picture and I posted it, and I said, like, I'm proud of him and he needs to leave.
Yeah.
It was post graduation, and um he had to be on his own.
Yeah.
And then when he was on his own, he could only blame himself if things weren't going right. And I think that's when he grew the most.
Yeah.
And that really turned him into an uber successful kid within 2 years, really. I mean, he got a pet, and I think when he had somebody else to be responsible for, I
Sure.
think that also helped him grow up,
Yeah.
and he was living on his own, and then he had roommates, and then I think he really grew up when there was a life change where he said, "I am going to be present, and I am going to take care of this." He made a decision that he sacrificed. He sacrificed money, his freedom, moved back home, like did all of this
Yeah.
to make sure that he was responsible, and I was that was not my decision for him, that was his. And I was like,
Sure.
wow, this is a kid that's like,
That was an adult thing
oh
to
my
do.
goodness. Kimmy, what an adult thing.
Yeah.
I was so proud of him for the sacrifice. He would get up early every day and work, go home, shower, and do everything he needed to do at night, and then get up and do that all over again.
Yeah.
And he was just nonstop with it. I told him this, and so proud of him for that. And that was a very young person, but that's, I think, when I saw when he moved out, and it was because we basically said, "Hey, not following the rules
Yeah.
here. We're at dad's, right?
But that's where
You got
the
to do it."
parenting comes in, and we
Yeah,
talked about we love our children,
love,
absolutely,
love,
but
love.
when we are raising our children, we are not friends. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
to be a parent is to parent,
yeah.
right? And so you need to make decisions for your children. Now, when they become
The future child, the
adults,
future adult your child is going to be.
yes,
That's what you're making decisions for, and
yes.
that's what I was like. If I keep doing this, he's never going to grow up.
Well, then you would be enabling. You'd be an
Yes.
enabler,
Yes. And I
and
didn't want to be
that's
that.
right.
Like, I got a psych degree. Like,
Yeah,
I just I knew better. I knew better. I couldn't. It was so tough. The tough love, Kimmy.
yeah. It hurts.
We weren't really close back then, but we didn't know each other back then,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Tough love was brutal. And I don't remember having someone good to lean on, but I would cry, and
yeah,
because I needed to be the parent, but I also wanted to just hug and love too,
yeah.
But
It's
that's, it's just what happened. And thank God I had a praying family too, I will say. And because this wasn't like a secret, you know,
yeah.
and this kid really, just amazing on the other side. Amazing.
But what a great story to tell, not only from his point of view,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, I should say not only from your point of view, but also his point of view, because I'm sure
Yeah.
he has recognized, right? And I do believe this is when people mature,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And when they have families of their own, right? That damn, like there's a lot that my parents did that I didn't really respect and recognize and just flat out not consider. And honestly, children are very, very selfish because they don't know
They're made
any
selfish.
right. They don't know
Yeah.
any different.
That's how their brain is. Right.
So I do.
In their 20s are selfish. That's
Well,
just how their brain is.
I really do.
Yeah.
You mentioned him getting a pet. I mean, until you actually have to take care of someone other than yourself, right? You don't recognize what goes into that.
Yes.
So,
and I think him as a parent now, first of all, he knows all the BS that those kids could possibly be trying to hide.
I'm so
because
sorry for his children. I'm so sorry.
They're not going to be able to get away with
Yeah,
anything.
right.
I, on the other hand, I was a pretty good kid growing up, and I had this firstborn that was a rule follower that was crying about a B that was really an A, and it was an A. And then he got away with a whole lot before I caught on. Honestly, I was just dumb. But his kids are not going to have that luxury.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's like he's onto that, and good.
Yeah.
Good. So in your situation, if we can switch gears, when did you feel like was the most challenging years with your child?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't with all of them. They were all different, but you particularly, again, like my situation, kids all raised the same, but you had a particularly challenging child as well.
So my situation was a little different than yours in that this was my firstborn and who was not a rule follower.
Yeah.
A delightful baby, a delightful toddler.
Yeah.
I mean, literally just perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
He got all your attention. He was the only baby.
Oh my gosh. So charismatic and, but yeah, he was going to school and it was trying to be focused and it just was, it started just with not sitting still and keeping hands to yourself and then bothering other kids. And so then you try to do things to help along that.
Yeah.
And then it really got challenging during middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school
hormones too.
Was awful.
Kids with hormones. All middle schools are awful.
Agreed. But when you have a child that is uber challenging,
it exacerbates it.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Is that the word?
Excretes it? Oh my gosh, we're going to look like fools. So we're just going to stop. I'm not even going to say any word.
Acerbates it.
Okay. That's you.
An acerbate doesn't make sense, but I think it's acerbates.
Okay, you're going to make me laugh.
I'll put the word. I'm sorry. Carry on. But I think junior high does because of hormonal changes too, Kimmy.
It is. And you know what? I mean, honestly, there wasn't a day where my kid didn't come home with not having a detention or some. I mean, I was like, you get to a point where you just become numb.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, whatever. What else you got? Like
they just keep piling up.
Yes, and it is awful, but I mean, he could have sneezed and, gotten written up for something.
Who knows?
It gets to a certain point where your kid gets targeted and then you're just like, whatever. So that was my experience.
Okay.
High school was really, I mean, it was either, military school or private Catholic school for him. He chose private Catholic school. So we did that and that was great until he didn't wake up and go to school. So it was challenging and challenging and challenging. And it's one of those things where, you think back, like I said, he was a beautiful, such a good baby and such a good little toddler and preschooler. And you're like, what did I do wrong? I think that there's a lot of guilt.
I think it's easy to feel guilt.
Like what did I do? Especially because he was the first. So I didn't have anything to compare it to, right?
Yeah.
And you go through this process, and again, you're wanting to help your child because you love your child. But at the same time, now we're at a point where I have two smaller children. And, as you talked about, it has an impact on your family. On your family. And it's one of those things where you try to do everything that you possibly can to help this child because you love this child.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're defiant. They don't want to listen to you. I had the cops called on me from him, called 911 because he didn't like a response I had to him. And the cops came and they read him the riot act. They were like, don't, what? You're calling because you don't like, something your mom said to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those
Yeah.
things where I think it's, it's maturity. It's, I will say, we've talked on other podcasts before. The group of kids you hang with, or the people that you hang with,
Yep.
can have an impact
Right.
on you, and it's hard. I we would You mentioned that sending or having your child leave the home was kind of that pivotal moment.
Was that the same for you?
It was, but prior to that, it was sending him to camps. It was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really kind of removing him. As much as you hate to do that,
Yeah.
you have to kind of,
It's a tough decision,
you
but
have
you
to kind
have
of
to.
save the family,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was, it's awful to say that it was a relief when he wasn't there, but I think it was good for us as a family, but also good for him
Right.
to understand.
Yeah. Because he
And
was still young, but it's like he had to know that other people have rules too, and you just can't do whatever. Like in my
no,
city, you just can't do whatever you want anytime.
no,
You can't. You just can't do that.
no.
Other people have rules too. Yeah.
Yes, and I mean, and it is, and so
Hmm.
there was a point where we actually said, you need to leave.
Mhm.
You need to leave. Like, if you don't like my rules, then then you can leave, because at
Yeah.
this point you're an adult, and technically I don't have to be responsible for you
Right.
anymore.
Right.
So, um, of course, they think it's great when they leave, and because they're in a place on their own, and then there comes responsibility, like, oh yeah, you got to pay rent, and oh yeah, you've got to pay your utilities, and
Budgeting.
yeah, you've got to keep up with all this stuff.
Spending. Yeah.
So I, there is that point where you do see that shift in your child. And I truly feel that when responsibility outside of yourself kicks in,
Yeah.
or is you're presented with it, let's just
Right.
say, it really truly makes you think, like, oh wow, okay, I gotta step up my game.
It's
And
maturity. It's experience. It's then hearing in the back of their minds, my parents were right. And wow, their house was a lot more comfortable because
yeah,
I didn't have to pay an electric bill,
right,
you know?
right. And that's not to say we didn't, we helped him, we, provided stuff for him, but um to see how he is now, my son is married and he has a family, and it's amazing to see the change. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful husband, he's a wonderful father, he's a
Hmm.
wonderful provider, and I'm so proud of him. I it's You think when you're in it, in the thick of it, and really this is for our friends that are in the thick of it.
Right.
I'll never forget, I had my uncle's wife had said, you have amazing boys, and I'm like, yes, thank you. Right. She's like, no, it's gonna be okay. And when you're in the thick of it, I was like, there is no way that this is
turns
all
out well.
gonna turn out well. But you know what?
Oh, it's so funny.
She was on the other side.
Yeah.
And so she could see it. And so now I'm on the other side and I
Yeah.
can see it. And so for our friends that are maybe dealing with something like this right now, have faith. Stay strong though.
Yeah.
Stay strong. It's not easy.
Kids
It's
need
not.
rules.
They
And
do, and they like structure.
they need lines.
Yes,
Yeah.
they need guidelines, structure, rules. They need it,
Yeah.
right? Which is why we
Any
go.
expert will tell you that.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it will get better, and it does get better. And
Absolutely.
it's just, I think from our perspective, we wanted to be able to share that we've been there,
You're
done
not
that.
alone.
I mean, actually, there's so much we're not sharing right now. So if you do have something you want to talk about, reach out to us, because between the two of us, I can
Everything's been covered.
I
Yeah.
almost can guarantee we've been there, done that.
Uh-huh.
Like, I say that with high confidence. So
high
high
confidence.
confidence. But the amazing thing is that both of our children are on the other side. And what a wonderful way to kind of come full circle. And, our families are great.
They're good to their siblings.
I
They're
was
good to
just
their
going to
little
say the
families. They're good to their
relationships that they have with
parents.
their siblings.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. It's a tough road,
Yeah.
but I think with a lot of love and support and just understanding that it 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 can get better, it will get better. I know you and I both believe in prayer, and so that helps as well.
If you have a challenging kid, hang in there.
Yeah.
We're on the other side of it.
It'll
and things
get better.
Are so much better.
It will get
But
better.
we get it. It was brutal.
Yeah, yes.
It was
the bottom
brutal.
line.
So we hope that you don't feel alone. And if you do need somebody to reach out to, then reach out to us. Because if you know us mildly or very well, know that if you didn't know that story, then we've gone through that. So we're happy to help in any way we can. So,
and we're here to support. And you know what? Life has its ups and downs, and change is constant. And you know what? We love you, and we'd love to hear from you too. So
yes. All right.
thank you for supporting.
Thank you for sharing.
And you too, friend. Cheers.
We try. Cheers to you guys.
We love you.
28?
Ciao.
I think that was good.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more we could have said.
Oh, yes.
So